Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stewart. Today, we have a special guest, Kim Costa. Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm really excited that we have you as a guest because you have extensive history in real estate, new construction, on many sides of the equation. And you also are an author and a coach. So we have a lot to talk about. We should jump in. One of the things I'm most excited about for you is that you have a book coming out in the first quarter of next year.
That's right.
I believe it's March 24th, right? Yeah. And the title is Live in Your Wheelhouse. Can you share with everyone a little bit about your book and what you're excited about with the book?
Sure. So I'm very excited about the book to get, the frameworks out that I've been developing for over 7 years. But even before that, I was always fascinated with Maslow's hierarchy and the wheel of life and maximizing your potential and like how you were made and what gifts you have as far as like your job and where you live. That once I became a realtor, I really started putting it together to help people. And I can only help so many people locally here in Atlanta. So I wanted to get the frameworks out to help people up-level their lives all over the place and to help agents really satisfy their clients and not look at the wrong homes, and then not eliminate. We never eliminate buyer's remorse. It just happens. But to reduce buyer's remorse, because it was up to between 80 and 90% in 2023 and 2024. Because they all chose so quickly.
That's right. And it turned into, we were in a situation there for a few years where it wasn't the house that you wanted.
Yeah.
It was the house you were able to get.
Yeah. It's the house you fought for and won.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
And sometimes you lost 3 or 4 or 5 before that. And you got so frustrated, you were just going to win. Just offer 100,000 over and we'll waive everything.
Right. Yes. Waive everything. Yeah. So the book itself, you mentioned a few things. You mentioned Maslow's hierarchy. So in case there's someone out there that's not familiar, would you like to give an overview of that and
Absolutely.
what it means?
Not everyone's an HR geek like me. I had 2 parents who were HR executives, so the dinner table was full of, personality theory and Maslow's, all the things.
Right.
So Maslow's hierarchy was created by a fellow named Maslow, of course. And so it has a hierarchy of needs that we all have as human beings. And it's a pyramid shaped table. And at the bottom are the most necessary needs that are physiological, like food, water, sleep. If you don't have those items in your home, that's a major problem. And part of the profits from my book are going towards people who are afforded a second chance through housing to get their life back online. So physiological is not most of us, although, some folks in California would beg to differ as their house is no longer there. So that's a thing. That's a real concern. Then you go up to safety, self-esteem, love and belonging, cognitive, where you're learning, aesthetics, is your home pleasing to the eye? And then at the very top, which is like the attic of my house diagram for Live in Your Wheelhouse, is self-actualization. So it's kind of building blocks most of the time to get up there. So the book has a series of questions based on Maslow's hierarchy in 8 areas of the wheel of life, which kind of make up your whole lifestyle. So that's how the book was constructed.
Very nice. And this is, even though you wrote it predominantly with real estate professionals in mind or realtors in mind, Maslow's hierarchy applies to everyone, right?
It does.
So I believe that the exercises, the questions, and what you have in the book would be beneficial really to anyone who is desiring change in their life.
Desiring change, or sometimes the change has been forced upon them. It could have been the death of a spouse, a divorce, an illness, things they're going through life transition, either by choice or by force. And so it's when your life changes, a lot of times your home needs to change for many different reasons. And so the primary person for the book is the actual homeowner, for them to take the assessment. But very closely along with that are the agents who help them, because it really clarifies exactly what that homeowner needs or wants in their next home. Or, the tagline of the book really is an empowering guide to stay, go, or reno So if you go, obviously you're moving.
Right.
If you stay, your wheel is looking plump and nice, the wheel, and it's not a flat tire, so you're not having
Mhm.
to move, but maybe you switch some furniture around, things like that.
Right. Okay, good. So tell us what inspired you to actually write this. You mentioned that you touch the lives of people that you coach in the greater Atlanta metropolitan area,
Mhm.
but you felt this desire and drive to impact more people across the country, I'm assuming, or internationally.
Mhm.
And is that what drove you to write the book? Like, what led to
Yeah,
you making that decision and
couple of
making it
things.
happen?
So I love writing. This is part of the book is memoirish as far as how I developed the system and my own personal life changes and how my homes changed along the way. So I've part of the story is the first chapter really is myself. Like, how are you made? I'm an ENFP, which is a Myers Briggs personality.
Right.
However,
Right.
I was being an accountant, which that should not have been my picture should not have been in the dictionary for accountant. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so I was just living a lot of things out of alignment in my life. My career was wrong. I'm an extrovert and I was living on a remote farm, beautiful farm, but I'm a golfer and I was riding horses because everyone in my area rides horse, not everyone, but a lot of people in my area rides
Right.
horses, and I broke my back doing it
Oh my goodness.
badly, really, really badly. And so I was stuck at home recovering, started writing again because I couldn't go I was in a walker, and I won a contest on the Oprah show. And so it was like, why am I not writing? I should be, but the problem is I told Oprah not to, the Oprah show crew wanted to come film at my house. And I said no, because I was in a walker. I couldn't get the farm ready or myself ready. And I was just overwhelmed at the time
Right.
and living out of alignment. Like, here's this beautiful farm, but I'm like in pain.
Yes.
So yeah, I was like, you can't come film, and so they filmed at someone else's house. And it was a lost opportunity for me because I wasn't
Right.
living authentically. So I mulled that over for a while and kept on writing a bit and knew one day I wanted to write a book. And so as I started changing my life based on the Wheel of Life, I had a coach who helped me with the Wheel of Life. I
Mhm.
started assigning clients that I was working with, oh, this is a career finance family move, or this is a health finance move. And I started putting them in each of the categories. And it just developed and developed and developed over the past 7 years to this entire process implementing, combining Maslow's hierarchy to have more serious needs in each area to like aesthetics that are maybe important to people, but it may not cause you to move.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With going back to that where they wanted to record and you felt that, well, you were not. You were not in a position where you could get your home and your farm and yourself in the state where you were going to feel comfortable to have them come and record. When you say they recorded at someone else's house, did they record you at someone
No,
else's house?
no, they moved on to the next
The
win.
next
I was
person?
the winner of the essay
Yeah.
contest. And then when I said no, they moved on to a lovely group of ladies. Because it
Okay.
was about friendship. And so, they
Hmm.
wanted to come have me be the winning essay or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when I said that you couldn't film, they needed someone for that segment where they actually went to the house and filmed the women all together. So they chose the
Right.
next person who was a wonderful lady, breast cancer survivor, great friendships. So when we went to the Oprah show, they sat us right behind and I didn't tell my friends. I told the Oprah show not to come. So
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, we get to go to the Oprah show, but I neglected to say we should have been filmed.
Yeah.
So I did submit a lot of photos of our whole group and our children that were born at that time. And they did a
Uh-huh.
collage of us at the end. They were so gracious about it. I think they knew I was just overwhelmed, and
Right.
they still invited us up and bussed us to the movie, and we got to meet Sandra Bullock and all the stars that were in the movie, and it was super fun. But we
Hmm.
could have been the winners.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Well, so how long ago did that happen? Where,
2001. Yeah.
okay.
A day.
And your back injury,
Hmm.
have you recuperated? Are there any
Yeah.
lasting impact from that?
Yeah, I need to keep up with my yoga. And if I walk
Uh-huh.
every day, it feels great. The more I move, the better it is.
Uh-huh.
My friends who were there sitting in the hospital waiting for me to kind of come to overheard the doctor talking to they put a cage in my back, talking to that representative at the time. And the representative asked the doctor, so what's the extent of the paralysis? And the doctor said, she can feel her toes. He said, that's a miracle. With her, the extent of her injuries, she should never walk again. But I feel great. I mean, I do feel a little stiff sometimes. I have an AccuBack. I can tell that there's rain moving
There
in.
you go. Right.
But I'm just so overjoyed to be walking. The doctor put her hand on my legs that were still numb when I was leaving the hospital. And she said, I don't know why you're going to be able to walk again. Because at that point I was shuffling in a walker. And she said, but you have an angel on your shoulder. And so I just knew that I was destined to help people in some way from this story. And I just had to mull on it for 2 decades.
It's what's interesting. I actually had a podcast guest that I just recorded recently, and she is a publishing partner. And she shared that there is a study that 78% of women want to write. They want to write a book. They want to share the story. They want to write. And only 3% actually do.
It is not easy.
I just wanted to say kudos.
Thank you.
You're part of the 3% that actually made that happen. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're intrigued about the book, they can actually pre-order. And everywhere that you can hear this podcast, we have links where they could pre-order, or they could sign up on your website and be notified, correct?
That's
of
right.
when the book's coming out.
Yep. The actual order process is coming soon. It's being developed. But you can get on the email list on my website to be informed of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So out of the book, is there anything that you think is so compelling that you would love to share it with anyone listening now?
I do have several, success stories in the book, and I've had, changed names and combined stories to protect my clients' privacy.
Right.
But I think what they're going to like is the actual application of all the assessment through real life stories, and how the before, what changes were made, so the during, the change, and the after, because we all go through life transition, but some people remain stuck. And it just shows people, if you consider these changes, and it's all up to you to take this assessment, and with the help of your realtor, decide options A, B, and C, what's the best option for you. But no stone will be left unturned, because you'll go through every area of your life. And it's not tedious. You can read this book within 4 days.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you can just pace yourself. You do 2 sections a day. You can skip the first part, which is a little memoir-ish about that whole Oprah thing and the house that I lived in. There's sort of a surprise ending there that's kind of fascinating, to be honest. And there's another chapter that I haven't told about that whole story, and it's in the book. It's kind of neat.
Nice.
But they can skip that whole part. If they're short on time and they're going out with their realtor on Saturday, the realtor can give them a book, or they can pick up a book on the previous weekend, read it. And then if there's 2 people, they can, talk about everything and then head out on Saturday. And they, instead of looking at 8 of the wrong houses, they're not going to waste that first day.
3 of the best of the best.
That's right. And
for them.
Informing the realtor, of their top things, and we might get a job. I mean, all the things that they could possibly hone in on. So hopefully it'll really help people pick the right house.
Well, another area of expertise for you is you've really been heavily involved with new construction, floor plans, home features, especially in higher end homes that work and that people desire and that stand the test of time. Because we both can probably easily think of trends that came in housing that quickly flitted away.
Yes.
How does that impact what you do on a day-to-day basis? I know you used to be more involved with it, but is that still something that's really important to you?
It is. I love new construction. Just worked on a beautiful home this past summer, and we were looking at all kinds of new construction. And so I kind of get real quiet when I walk into a home. And even my husband noticed this the other day. We were in a friend's new home, and they had just purchased it. And I was just kind of quietly, looking for cracks coming off the doorway, and just, is it built well? And something about the way, if there's anything wrong with the foundation, it's my feet can feel it. And it's you know what I'm saying? I
do know what you're saying.
Something's off here. I feel, let's go to the basement, because something's settling, and I feel it. And there's a crack coming off the corner of the door. and the door jam's a little off. And so something's settling. Let's make sure this foundation's okay. So that's all like really basic stuff. Similar to the wheelhouse. You have to start with the foundation and then you move
Right.
up to the living areas to see, is the kitchen big enough? Does it fit the whole family? The extended family. Where's the
Right.
primary bedroom? And so like, then I start going through the wheelhouse literally in my head. So I start with structural. I start with potential problems to eliminate, kind of like going up Maslow's hierarchy. Are there any
Right.
safety issues here? Is there water running the wrong way towards the house? Is all the things that could harm the house from a physiological standpoint? And then you go to like safety issues and like, is it in the right neighborhood? Is it close to work? Things like that. So from a structural standpoint, the new construction, it's not much dissimilar to an existing home, except for that it's a fresh slate and you have to add personality to it.
Yes, yeah, that is true. They can be very almost have a sterile feeling, when they
Yeah.
first, yeah,
But in an existing home, you sometimes have to erase a previous personality from the home.
absolutely. Yeah. Usually, I would even go so
Most
far as to say
times.
usually, yeah. Because even if a seller neutralizes a property prior to selling it, then it's either sterile or their what they consider neutral
Yeah.
doesn't match with
Yeah,
what you
they
believe is
love the cool
neutral.
grays and the new owner loves the
Yeah.
warm colors, and it's just, we have to completely repaint. So
Redo.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual floor plans, I love looking at floor plans because
Mhm.
something about maybe a gift I have is visualizing the flow of the home. And if I look at a floor plan, I can actually see the walls and picture furniture and where it should go in there. So that might be a spatial gift that I have.
Probably,
I
yes.
love that.
That's really cool.
Mm.
So you you're like a Renaissance woman because you have so much happening and going on because you also have a podcast.
It just started and I'm loving it.
Mhm.
It's same title as the book, Live in Your Wheelhouse. And I'm
Mhm.
really going through all the frameworks of the book to give people a sneak peek before it launches.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I'll go through all the frameworks through the end of this year. And then next year, I'll start interviewing expert guests in each
Mhm.
area. So like like if you're a creative, what should your office look like? So that'd be the
Right.
career area, health in your home, that kind of thing.
Well, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
What drives you? So, I'm sure there's someone listening that's like, wait a minute, this lady, she's doing so many things and has done so many things. How do you keep yourself focused and moving ahead
Mm.
in the different areas that you're creating and you're
Yeah.
working?
Well, it's all the same through line. So it keeps me focused. They're different vehicles for the
Mhm.
same through line. So it's all positive. But I think another gift of mine is seeing potential in homes and seeing potential in people and combining those to the right fit. And so that's what my podcast is about, increasing comfort and joy in your home through this process. That's what I'm hosting on American Dream TV, and that is positive news stories in my community. So it's people
Mhm.
who are living in their wheelhouse who are also now helping other people because everything's going well. And then the book, of course, is the same, kind of the same through line. And I think I spent so much time doing things I wasn't supposed, decades doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, that I'm so energized because now I'm totally in my zone of genius
Right.
and I'm like excited about it. And so I'm like making up for lost time. All those 8-hour days I spent in an office crunching numbers, I'm like free.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're free. So I want to circle back to you were riding horses and you said it in an interesting way because you said, I'm a golfer and I was riding horses. So your natural inclination, you would have preferred to be on the golf course. And yet, due to what was typical with where you were living,
Uh-huh.
you were riding horses more than golfing.
Yes, I
And
was. And we
and
lived
you're
on
an
a horse farm.
extrovert.
Yeah.
Right. So you're an extrovert. And I'm assuming that means that many of your friends also rode horses. So you were like, well, I'm going to do that too
Yeah.
because you wanted to have the friends and the connection.
Yeah. I ran the pony club for my daughter. I had the horses, and that was fantastic. Those people were lovely. Does not
Hmm.
mean I was a great horseback rider. I'm an
And
excellent
then,
golfer.
okay, good. And are you still golfing? Are you
I
able
am.
to
I
still
am. I
go?
can golf.
Good, good,
Praise
good,
the Lord.
good. So how did that come about that you had the accident?
So I got in. My first horse was lovely. His name was Phoenix, and
Hmm.
he showed up lame like about a year after I got him, and so I needed to get a new horse. At the time, my former spouse and my daughter were fox hunting and polo and
Okay.
all the things. And I was
Right,
just like showing up with the cake, and I'm just wanted to be a part of it. Even though
right.
I like my feet on the ground, I was like, I can do this. I'm athletic. I can do it. And so I started getting trained and bought a lovely horse, and he was stable. Well, then he showed up lame, so we gave him to a hippotherapy place to help
Okay.
people.
Yes. Right,
And then I needed a new horse because he was never going to be able to be trotted again, and
right.
cantering. So I got a new horse. His name was Sergeant. Bless his heart, a big old quarter horse. And I was like,
Hmm.
we're going to learn dressage, right? Okay, so he was not suited for the task either because he's just was a big old quarter horse. He did not
Right.
need to be doing what he was doing. And he got
Hmm.
scared and he bolted. He bolted one day after Christmas in 2001. And
Hmm.
he was bolting, and I told my trainer, listen, I'm done for today. It's cold out here. The ground was
Right.
frozen. He's not up for it. He's new. He's scared. And I put the reins down, took my feet out of the stirrups, and he bolted, and my feet just flew up in the air, and I couldn't right myself. And I was
Right.
on the way down. I was like, I'm tough. It's going to hurt.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
going to
yeah,
hurt,
yeah.
but I'll be okay. Not so much. So that was a big wake up call. Be very
Yeah.
choosy about what you commit to.
And how long was your recuperation? Your significant recuperation? Like
Significant
the
recuperation was
intense part.
intense recuperation was 6 months. So
Okay.
back brace, heavy back brace for 3 or 4 months. I don't think I took a running step again for 2 years. I didn't
Okay.
think I'd ever be able to run again. I remember when I ran about 20 feet, just to do it. And I was like, I can do
Right.
this. Yeah. The
That's
saving grace
great.
was I was doing Pilates and yoga at the time, and my core was so strong at the time that it just kind of held everything together so that
Hmm.
I didn't have as serious of everything was crushed, but my spinal cord, my muscles held everything in place. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how was your mindset and determination?
Very determined.
Good.
Very determined. Yes. I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to goals,
Hmm.
I did eventually get back on a horse, my daughter's
That was
horse.
one of my next questions. So
Not right,
yeah, I was going to
not
ask if
right
you ever
away.
did.
Don't touch.
Hmm.
But about, gosh, what was that? It was maybe 5 or 6 years later. I bought my daughter literally a expensive horse because she was still
Hmm.
riding, right?
Right.
And I didn't want to take that away from her. Finally, I said, "Hey, I'm going to get back on. I'll have the reins, but his name is Piney.
Hmm.
But I'm going to get back on." And I just walked him across the ring, and then I was like, "Okay, I'm done."
I did it. Yeah.
I still love them, but I enjoy other people riding them now.
Yes, you can watch
Yes,
from the
they're
side, but I'm
beautiful
glad that you
creatures.
did that. How did that feel walking him across and then having that moment where you're like, okay, and then getting off? That had to have been.
Yeah. I wanted to show my daughter to get back on,
Mhm.
even if it's much later. Don't let that fear conquer you.
Right.
But I also wanted to show her that you need to control the situation. Don't put yourself at risk. So I bought the horse. I didn't just
Hmm.
think I'm invincible. I can do this. You really, going forward. And I think that kind of goes into this plan, like your next move. Don't just do it. Have a plan and a structure, because buying a home is a financial risk. It's your time. It's your livelihood. It's like how you feel going forward. So I think that accident changed my whole outlook on you're not invincible.
Right.
Protect yourself. Have a plan. Dig deep before you make a big decision. Hit the pause button. Sometimes things just aren't, all be okay. Sometimes they aren't.
Right.
You need to make a plan, especially
Right.
like in this instance, live in your wheelhouse. Think about it, maximize everything, and minimize your risk.
I am going to go out on a limb and make a
Uh-huh.
guess that you no longer live on a horse farm.
I don't. There's a couple down the street, and I visit them. I sold a
So,
beautiful one a couple years ago. It was
mhm.
so pretty, rolling pastures. And I
Right.
do miss it sometimes
Hmm.
because it was so pretty. But I'm an extrovert. I was a little lonely as well.
Right.
It wasn't just the horses. It was, it was the remoteness and I like my like seeing neighbors. So I do not live on a horse farm. I live in a lovely cottage. It has a garden.
Nice.
Someone else maintains the yard because I
Hmm.
don't like routine tasks, so should not own a farm.
Yes. Farms are the epicenter of
Oh,
routine
like
tasks.
you can't go travel or go on vacation.
No.
It's like, oh, I need someone to come run this resort while I go to a resort.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's exciting. So you're living proof that applying the approach in your book, it can impact your enjoyment and how you thrive in everyday life, because in your new environment and the new house and still having leverage, all of those things,
Mhm.
it's much more suited to what is going to allow you to thrive.
Absolutely. 100%. Even the location of the home, which would be in the environment piece of the pie for the wheel of life. My environment is a medium-sized home, lovely with a lot of character. It's like it's cottages of crab-apples where I live. And so the crab-apple, this little kind of a town, is in between three cute little towns. It's like a triangle. And
Hmm.
because I can go to any one of those little towns within 10 minutes and like be
Nice.
around people, but it's still peaceful
Right.
enough where I have a respite. So, I mean,
That's
this
great.
house is perfect for my personality.
And I'm, the whomever owns the horse property, because I think that's part of your messaging is that there's different properties and homes and locations and all of
Hmm.
that for everyone. So I'm hopeful that whomever now is in your former horse property, it's perfection for them.
It is. And that is the
Yeah.
surprise ending of my book, of my first part of my book. It's a
Hmm.
really, I won't give it all away, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I won't give it all away, but there's a little bit of a surprise that happens there. But the ending of it is that it is their wheelhouse,
Hmm.
100%. And they are thriving there. And the family that bought it from us thrived there, but it just wasn't right for us at that time.
For you.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people, you and I have both been around the real estate world for decades.
Hmm.
And sometimes there's people that they just live where they live because they live there.
Yeah. And everybody else
And
is
it
doing it. So,
right, and they just stay. And again, like for some people that's perfect. They
yeah,
absolutely love that,
it's
that
not their
suits
focus.
them.
Yeah.
Right. If someone is listening to us, because I assume anyone who's listening to you and I have a conversation, they are craving change or growth, or they're looking to create movement in
Hmm.
their life.
Hmm.
If someone is feeling stuck, either with where they live or how their wheel of life is, what do you think is a small first step they could take to move things in another direction?
Well, I think the pause button. I know so many folks who just want to make a decision just because what they're doing now isn't working without really, well, we'll try this. And that's okay. You can fail at things and then try something again. Like if that's not going to work out, you can try something again. I've moved 4 times since
Hmm.
my big house, my last big
Right.
house. And I think the biggest step is to hit the pause button and start, working through the process of who am I? What did I like? And a lot of people in midlife get to a point where, like, I've been doing this career for 25, 30 years. Okay, my kids are flying the coop. Now I'm not preoccupied with all the things that I needed to do to get through this middle section of life.
Right.
And now it's time for them again. And they're like, okay, what did I like to do? Who am I
Right.
anyway? And so I think it's the first step is just really what brings you joy or what used to bring you joy that you didn't have time for a couple of decades. And
Hmm.
maybe it's just something simple like, yeah, I never traveled when I was younger. I want to travel now while I'm still young enough to enjoy it. And I have the
Right.
finances now. Let's try a trip because I don't even know if I like to travel. Just kind of start to investigate certain things or hobbies. Go try an art class, woodworking, or just like what brings you joy.
Right.
And just start to investigate or try an old hobby that you know that you used to lose yourself in when you were younger. And that
Hmm.
you need to replace some kind of void in your life. Once you hit midlife, it's like we're going into our third section of
Yes.
life. It could be another 20,
Right.
30 years. I just
Right.
was with my mom. She's 89. She drove to my house
Hmm.
today and she still has her wonderful hobbies.
Yes.
But she didn't really start them again until she was in her late 50s because she worked. Oh, it's like, okay, what phase of life are you in? What For the folks in that mid part of life that are raising children and doing their career or volunteering or caught up, you know, that's a stage. But once that stage ends, it's kind of like the cards get thrown up in the air, some of them, and you have
Yeah.
to fill them, you have to fill your deck again, fill your hand again. So it's pausing, thinking about what makes me happy and what can I focus on for the next section of my life
Hmm.
and build your environment
Yeah.
around that.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about environment because, and I will butcher this quote, but your environment can reflect your mindset and mental state,
Mhm.
and your mental state can impact your environment. So it
100%.
can become like a chicken or egg, which comes first. So if someone is feeling out of alignment just with their main home or
Mhm.
their main part of their home,
Mhm.
maybe they're used to their bedroom being a certain way,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's akimbo.
Mhm.
I feel like that is something that can tune people into if they need to pay attention to one or the other.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that? Do you think that there's a connection between the current state of your area and your mindset?
Especially when it comes to clutter
Hmm.
or lack of cohesiveness in the way the furniture is arranged,
Hmm.
that perhaps there's not a thought process, but that chair's always been there. But you trip over it when you try to get to your
Right.
bedroom,
You
twice a
stub your
week,
foot. Yeah, that's right.
right? Or there's not enough room for you to sit with your entire family now that it's growing. There's people getting married and you have 12 people for dinner, not 6 anymore or whatever. And
Hmm.
and so it's just a matter of people getting stuck. I think so many people are stuck. I talked to a very nice lady the other day. She switched her big living room with her dining room because her family grew. And I was like, that's brilliant. Not many people would have thought of that. So it's
Right.
also looking at your current home with fresh eyes. How has your life changed? So she now has 12 people coming for dinner. Her smaller dining room wouldn't accommodate that. So she switched the chandelier into the large full-length dining living room. There's a
Living room.
pretty fireplace in there. She can fit the whole family. And now the living area, she put doors on it, or the dining area, she put doors on it, and she swapped the two. And so she just changed the function of the room. She didn't have to move.
Right.
But if
That's
she
pretty
hadn't
impressive.
been open-minded, she would have always said, no, that's always been our living room. That's where we
That's
put the
right.
Christmas tree, and that's where we've opened presents, and that's where I sit and read, and I'm not changing that. That is my routine.
Hmm.
But now she loves her new routine because she has all the same things. It just functions better.
Right.
It's
If someone
open-minded.
is feeling a stalemate there,
Yeah.
what do you think how can they decide what to do first?
Well, it's what's your pain point? What's your biggest pain point? That's probably the biggest thing. And if you are
Hmm.
dealing with clutter, sometimes you have to get the clutter out of the way to even see the bones of the room and the furniture. That there could be a stack of clothing or donations or a room you've thrown
Right.
everything in. And you could be using
Right.
that for your hobby you haven't done. Or you could make it in a guest room because now you need a bunk room for your grandchildren. And so I think just starting to clear the clutter to see what possibilities are, because clutter, I think a lot of times, what clutter really is clutter in your head.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very much correlates to
Right.
your environment
Not
mimics.
that's what I'm wondering. Like, so do you attempt to get some clarity of mind first, or do you physically remove some of the
To
clutter?
me,
And I'm sure it's case by case.
I think it's case by
But
case, but for me and some people I've seen, while they're cleaning out the clutter, it's also quiet time. It's also an action that reduces anxiety about a fear or a worry.
right.
Taking action helps that to begin with. And
Hmm.
then once you clear out that clutter, you're thinking about possibilities probably while you're doing it, or like memories, you're putting them aside or boxing them or giving away certain items that are no longer useful to you. And that's cathartic itself.
Right. I agree. And then there's the final step of, because I know you and I both have had clients and probably relatives that you put together all the things that are going to go
Hmm.
and they never go.
Yeah.
Or they make it to the trunk of the car
Yeah.
and then they go around with you for months. So, right? I mean, like
Yes.
that, that can happen to any of us.
Yes.
I think the reason I thought about that in context of our conversation is you mentioned, is your wheelhouse a flat tire? Is there one area in the circles of your life that has a puncture
Mm-hmm.
and it's causing,
A wobble.
yeah. So I think that's what made me think about that, because I do think they're tied. And I think about if anyone's listening to us and they're desiring change, I think this is beneficial for them to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, as you mentioned, actually taking the action, cathartic in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even a
even
small
if you
action.
start small,
One drawer.
that's right, start small.
One drawer, one box, one closet, small closet.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And allow yourself, because I believe that that environment is very attached to feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, as you're going through either a cluttered room or a cluttered space or a table that was overtaken, it's not just the stuff.
Yeah.
If it was just a matter of like, oh, those books need to be put back on the bookshelf,
Yeah.
they would just be done.
Right.
It's the feelings and the emotions.
It is.
So, and if anyone is listening, just taking that one small step and even telling yourself prior, I'm going to feel feelings and that's okay.
That's
I am a
okay.
human being being human,
Yeah.
and feelings are okay. And then
Yeah.
just allow yourself to keep going.
And there'll be things that you're going to cherish as you go through your items.
Right.
There may be some that are sad, and then some that you'll also, oh, look at this little picture, And it's okay to take a couple of minutes and look at it. You don't have to, be throwing things away. You can form piles. You can give extra photos to relatives and
Right.
spread some joy that way too. Like, oh, remember this?
Spread
This
joy.
was great. Look, I found these photos. I have
Right.
so many. Here's some for you. Yeah. You can turn it into a joyous thing as well. But it's the feelings. People don't, they get overwhelmed. And have you ever opened a box
Right.
and you forgot what's in there? And then 2 hours
Oh,
later,
yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've moved
Yeah.
5 times.
Yeah, I do think that happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Even if, well, with the exception of like extreme minimalists, it probably doesn't happen
Yes.
with them. But if you're not an extreme minimalist, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the book you have coming out is something that would even help with things like that. Because, and that's the other thing I was thinking about is like the example you gave, you may not need a new house.
You may not.
Maybe you do, but allow yourself to have the presence of mind in a space that's conducive to being creative and thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then see what's possible.
Absolutely. It's just about clarity. It's
Clarity, yes.
clarifying what in your life has changed, acknowledging that it has changed, and focusing on the next life you want to have. And so that does mean, while it means purging some things, habits, items, all of it, that also opens the door to new things coming into your life that will bring you joy now, instead of
Right.
having longing for the things that used to be.
Right. As you know, we are facing an unprecedented number of people aging in place
Mm-hmm.
and hanging on to their homes and their belongings
Mm-hmm.
far longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is impacted by younger generations not necessarily desiring the belongings that are being held onto. Do you believe that your book could be beneficial or useful for realtors that specialize in senior moves,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even the sandwich generation, to help them navigate if they are helping their parents make those decisions?
Absolutely.
Would your book and your process be beneficial there?
Yeah.
And where do you think it would help the most?
Honestly, my primary avatar are midlifers, because we're almost forced into change with retirement and midlifers and beyond, because retirement age is more 65, 70, maybe a little earlier.
Right.
But those are big transitions. And, I'm married to a wealth manager, and he has a lot of older clients. And so, it's a whole change of life when your partner passes, or you're going to move to assisted living, or, these are all huge decisions because we're entering a different stage of life. So I think
Right.
those are my primary people. I would love to catch the young ones before they make 25 years of mistakes. But my
Right.
primary people are the folks who have, sometimes the financial resources to maximize their
Mhm.
life, and to help them not get stuck like I was for 25 years. So,
Right.
and doing the wrong things. And I think,
Right.
but it also asks, it also offers some practical solutions as far as preparing yourself for the decision of stay, go, or reno. Yeah. So I think it would be really, it's a great guide for anyone going through life change, which is all of us eventually.
That you are exactly right.
Yeah,
Sometimes by choice, sometimes
that's
by
right. But you're in the same boat.
lifing along.
Choice or
Right.
forced, you're in the same boat. Your emotions just might be different about it.
Well, I think I'm really excited and looking forward to reading it as soon as it
Great.
comes out.
Yeah.
I also would love to extend to you. I'd love it if you would consider being a guest again.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
maybe next summer or next fall
Yes.
after the book's been out.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're going to have all sorts of press and book tours and
Yes.
exciting things to share
Yes. And I want to talk
as you
about
share
this
this with the world.
for a long time. So I will be here. That whenever you'd like to have me back, I would love to come back.
Kim, it's been such a pleasure diving into this with you. And I feel that your book is going to be such a game changer for so many people. I'm thinking about it because my 89-year-old mother is currently considering what she would like to do. So I am excited to get that and see what would be beneficial for her as she's making these plans. And as I mentioned, I hope that you will come back and be a guest with us again.
Absolutely. I would love that.
And if you are listening to The Inner Estate, I hope that you will come back again as well and join us for the next episode. Thank you so much.